Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Bailey. Our campaign is The Curse of Nineveh. It was written by Mike Mason, Mark Latham, Scott Dorward, and Paul Fricker, and it's available from the Chaosium website. I'm the GM, and this is episode 36. Without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. So, you guys have visited the prison and spoken with those who remain of the Children of Tranquility. And you've also gone to Aloysius Delgado's and found him a shell of a person. And you have been given the information that you need to hopefully do something about it. So it is it's midday on June the 13th. The party is on the 15th. The garden party.
We have exactly one invitation to the Royal Garden Party.
Correct.
Is it a invitation for two?
It's a +1, yes.
Right. So yes, we have roughly 48 hours to figure out where the entity Euhuthris and whatever body it is, or the entity Nabu, which is summoning Euhuthris, what they plan to do, how they plan to get to the king, and figure out how to stop it. We have Elphinstone's address, and Delgado said that he was partnered with his comely lady neighbor.
Do you think we should write a letter stating that Elphinstone, who lives at X address, is an anarchist and is plotting to overthrow the king? Do you think that might work for us or against us?
That might be a good start. That's something I would do.
Although, if we plan to do battle in some way with Elphinstone at his home, we probably do not want there to be officials about.
Well, let's investigate his home and then his young lady's home, and then we could decide if the letter's a good idea.
Do, as they say, a drive-by. Yes?
Yeah, I want to do more than a drive-by. I want to go in and see if he's there.
Well, if we went into his house, if we encounter him, we can attack. If we don't encounter him, as I've stated before, I bet we could find a photograph of him so we at least know what we're looking for.
Great idea.
All right.
Very well. Let's see if he's home. If he's not home, then we know that we don't know where he is. And that will affect our future options. Who's driving the Chatton wagon?
I'll drive.
Very good.
All right. So you drive across town. You're not in a particularly wealthy area. It's a lot of townhomes. They're not attached to one another, but they're fairly close to one another. I guess what you'd expect from a city. It's not a two-story place. It's a one-story. He's actually on the end of the street, so there's only one house next to his. Of course, there's a house next to that one, and next to that one, next to that one. The house is narrow, but it's deep. You know what I mean? There's a very slight garden porch in the front, and there's probably a bigger garden in the back if it's the same way as other ones.
In the South, we refer to those as shotgun shacks.
Okay. like a townhome in this case. But it's not particularly wealthy. It's middle class.
I was expecting him to have money.
So if he's on the corner,
Mm-hmm.
does that mean we can see his rear garden, or is there a
Yes,
wall?
you can. If you go around the building, you can see that there's a garden in the back. It's fairly small.
And in the middle of the day, the house is quiet. We don't. There's no
correct.
obvious occupation.
Correct.
I wonder. Do we think Elphinstone would recognize any of us?
Perhaps.
I don't think any of you have ever seen him.
Should we just go up and knock on the door?
I would think no more than one of us.
May I suggest that we perhaps try to talk with one of the neighbors and maybe get a better idea of who he is from them?
Well, if he's on the corner, then I would make the assumption that the house next to his is the young lady's house.
If Delgado meant neighbor in the strictest sense, yes.
Well, perhaps one of the neighbors from across the street there. See if we can find out more information on him in general, and then take it from there.
Now, do we know if Edward Elphinstone is a real name, or is this his pseudonym or pen name, or?
Well, he's definitely not Lord Elphinstone, so
Right.
Not living in a place like this. You don't know. You don't know that for sure.
Well, I was just saying it to the group, so in case.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
And there is not a name on the post box. Is it like a door flap kind of mail situation?
There is. It just says Elphinstone.
Oh, okay.
So at least it's the name that he's known publicly by.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Islwyn, I think it certainly there poses no risk to talk to the neighbor across the street. How shall we couch our inquiry? We have news for Elphinstone about his friend Delgado, but I don't know how to reach him, or
Yeah, but to make that work, we'd actually have to knock on his door to make sure he's not there.
Well, I'm not assuming the neighbors are across the street or watching us.
Well, if this is a working class neighborhood.
Well, we could always come up with, we were given a address, but we're not certain if it's correct. We could always just say that we were given an address, we're not sure, is this correct? And once it's confirmed, then, we can take it from there and, ask little questions along the way.
I don't think we have, the neighbors aren't going to know us from Adam, so they're not going to be suspicious of us. And two, time is short. We need to just find this guy. Knock on the door, knock on the neighbor, knock on every door here. We just need to find something out. We don't even have to be polite about it. The kingdom is at stake. George V, his life.
Yeah, why be polite about it? We're going to gun him down if he's there.
Because if you're polite about it, they're not going to talk to you.
I don't mean go in and be a jerk off. I'm just saying the king's life is in danger. We need to solve this. Let's do this.
But we can't be incredibly hasty on this. It might work against us.
Yes, well, I mean, time is of the essence, but also so is not compounding the difficulties of our situation. Right. So again, what do we want to tell the neighbors? Do we want to tell the neighbors that we're from the newspaper? Do we want to tell the neighbors that we're just looking for him personally?
You just say that we're looking for him personally, and we were given a general location, but we were not certain whereabouts he is.
Well, but his
to help
name's on his
us.
mailbox.
Well, we are assuming
We just
that
came in.
we're assuming that Alpha Stone is the big baddie. Okay. Why not knock on the neighbor's door, make the assumption that that person is Elphinstone. They correct us and tell us he lives across the street. We can even go so far as to lay it out on the line. Yeah, this guy's an anarchist and he's plotting to kill the king, and sour the neighborhood against him so that if we miss him, now he's got to deal with nosy neighbors who think he's a bad guy. One more thing to throw him off the game.
It would also be nice to get the name of his female neighbor somehow. All right, so perhaps two of us should wait in the car. Of course, we need to make sure that at least two of us are still alive for the garden party.
Well, I'll sit with the car revving, so that way we can just peel out of there if we have to.
I want to go around the back, and just in case if he's there and tries to slip out the back, I could see him.
All right, and so Esselwyn, you and I will go to the door.
That's fine,
Right,
but
let's
I'll
do
be
that.
just totally honest with you. I really can't imagine him wanting to run away from us at this point in time. He thinks he's holding all the cards.
Yeah,
And
I just
technically
don't
he is.
I just don't want, because somebody wasn't at the back, he snuck out. You know.
I got you.
Very well. So directly across the street, is there a knocker?
Yes.
Is there a bell?
There's a knocker. After a few moments, you hear some light footsteps inside. The door opens, and it's a woman. She looks like she's about 46 years old. She has her hair is red. She has it up. She's dressed in just a house dress, and she's like, "Yes, can I help you?" And she looks out. How many are there? Just you?
Yeah, just me and Audrey.
The two of us, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Is Mr. Elphinstone at this residence? We were given
Elphinstone? No. This isn't his. He's across the street.
Oh, that's dreadful. We were led to believe he was here. Oh, thank you for confirming that. There. Oh, dear me. I'm sorry. Thank you very much, ma'am. You've been great help to us over here.
She closes the door.
But ma'am, could I ask you a question before? Not to impose. But what sort of person is Mr. Elphinstone?
He's a fortune teller.
A fortune teller? Really? What sort of fortunes does he tell?
Well, why are you looking for him? I thought that's why you'd be looking for him.
Oh, well, we were told that he was an antiquarian of some note, but we were not aware that he was a fortune teller.
I'm not even sure I know what that is. No, he's a fortune teller. People go there to hear their fortunes, to get their cards read or their palms read or whatever. I don't know what he does. I don't believe in that stuff.
Do you know when he's usually, well, what's the way to put it, has a shop open, as it were?
I don't monitor his business.
Oh, no worries, madam.
Go ask him.
Does he bring an unsavory clientele to the street?
Once again, I'm not his keeper. I have no idea what he does.
No worries.
She says, "Good night." Good day. She closes the door.
All right. Well, we have further verification that he's there.
I have an idea.
The fact that he does business out of the flat is useful. Let's cross and catch up with Patrick. I assume Fuller is revving somewhere near where Patrick is keeping an eye on things.
All right. So Patrick, what are you doing? You've walked around towards the back.
I'm not going to go up to it, but can I see in any of the windows?
Well, there's a little picket fence around the garden in the back, and the garden looks pretty well tended. There's little flowers growing and there's grass. Do a spot hidden for me.
39 out of 50.
Okay. There's a couple of large piles of dog poop in the backyard. They don't look like they came from a little dog. you wanted to go look up in a window, you'd have to do it from the side of the street, but you'd also have to be going maybe 7 or 8 feet onto his property to get to the window.
If I see the dog feces, I'm not gonna step foot over the fence. I just want to take note if there's any windows open, any lights on, any.
There's no
chimneys
window.
open.
There's no windows open. There's no lights on. But it's the middle of the day, so
Okay.
you don't hear any music. You don't see any movement.
Going to. Can I see them coming from? Like if I go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll walk over to meet them and tell them what I found.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's inconvenient.
Yeah.
A large dog.
Yeah.
Yes, quite. But I think we might have an inn to perhaps meet with Mr. Elphinstone in under more gentlemanly circumstances.
If he's still telling fortunes, despite the
Yes,
fact that he's
quite.
now inhabited by an ancient deity.
But that doesn't mean that he may still not be open for business.
Well, shall we draw straws?
Yes, and that might be a way we could get inside and get pictures, or shall we say, some better idea of what's going on in his domicile.
One
Remember
or two?
Probably 2, but remember what he did to Delgado, so just keep that in the back of your mind.
Yes, but is he willing to have Naboo or this Euthyrus transferred to one of us, to someone off the street?
Just keep it in mind. That's all I'm saying. You're going to go in and get your palm read, and let me see your hand. Next thing you know, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, well, if the world's about to be ended,
Let's just knock on the door and find out if it's him.
so again, how should we do it? Should we draw straws?
I'll go.
I would be willing to go.
Be willing to go?
I would be willing to go.
All right.
Well, I'm not unwilling myself, so
Shall we all go?
no, I think no more than 2 of us should go. We don't want to look like a posse.
I'll go back around back and keep an eye on the back door.
I shall go and inquire about making arrangements for a reading.
There's nothing on the house that indicates that a fortune teller is there. There's no signage.
No.
I wonder if he's in the telephone book, or if it's a word of mouth sort of business. Well, perhaps we should maintain the groups that we're in, because I think a man and woman seeking a fortune together seems a more likely situation than 2 men.
I just had a notion.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps we could go to the Wentworth Club and ask around and see if one of the members there has employed Mr. Elphinstone for such purposes, or at least gone to investigate him.
But we are here now.
True.
And if someone had visited Elphinstone, that would have been pre-Naboo, so I'm not sure what they could tell us that would pertain to our current dangers and possibilities. So I have a pistol in my bag. You're also carrying something, Islwyn?
Absolutely, yes.
All right. So who's going up to the porch again?
Myself and Audrey.
I think so.
I thought Patrick was going up. Okay.
Patrick's going to the back.
I'm at the back door.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You've gone back to the back. All right. Audrey and London, you step up onto the porch. There's no front gate, by the way. There's just a porch. You step up onto the porch to the door, and there's a knocker. Okay. The second you hit the knocker, there is a loud barking inside the house, kind of medium high pitched, sounds like maybe a collie or a German Shepherd. And it barks and it barks and it barks and it barks, and there's no.
And no one comes to the door.
No one comes to the door.
All right then. It seems unwise to attempt to break in when there's apparently a rather angry guard dog.
Fuller,
Yes, quite.
Fuller,
Yes.
you're in the car.
Yes.
Do a spot hidden for me.
Ooh, I made it.
Okay. So your car is in front, and you've kept the engine running in case you need to get away. You see them go up to the porch. You hear the dog barking. It's a loud bark. What you notice is the neighbor on right next to his house, that the like the living room sort of window, the curtain parts, and for a moment you see a woman looking out. Doesn't look like a young woman, doesn't look like an old woman, immediate regular person. She looks out, and then the curtain closes, and a moment later you see her front door opening. Do you do anything, or?
No, there's no way I can warn the guys without letting her know it, so just continue to watch.
All right. So as you are up on the, of course, Patrick, you're in the backyard. You now hear the dog barking inside. Audrey and Munden, you're on the porch, and you see next door, because you're looking kind of off the side of the porch.
Mm-hmm.
You see next door a woman. She looks like she's maybe in her late 40s, early 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Step out of her door and start down her little steps to the sidewalk, and immediately turn and start walking towards you.
Well, when I notice her, I'm going to...
He's
Ma'am?
not here. He's not here now.
Oh, he's not.
No, Mr. Elphinstone's not here right now.
Yes, quite. Oh, he's not here. Oh, that's a rather shame.
She says, I'm Miss Newell. I am his neighbor, and
Right.
I take care of his dog while he's away.
Yes.
But I don't expect him back for a few days.
Did you, if you don't mind me prying, do you know where he's at?
Who are you?
Oh, my name is Iselin Munden. I'm with the Wentworth Club, and I just heard about Mr. Elphinstone being a seer of sorts, and I wish to see about making arrangements to.
Oh
to
yes,
meet with
yes.
him.
He has amazing mystical powers.
Oh, he
He
does.
can see into your future and tell you all about it. I'm sure that he can tell your fortune when he
Quite.
returns.
Has he told your fortune?
Oh yes, yes. He was so
Ah.
accurate. Everything that he said was
Quite.
amazingly accurate. He's becoming quite well known in the upper circles.
Oh, yes. Well, it's of course. We at the Wentworth Club deal in such things, and we've heard.
He's a lovely man. Yes.
Oh, yes. Could you describe the man for us? We just know him by name and
Oh,
I
well.
guess reputation. But...
Well, yes, he's a very handsome man.
Mm.
Has a beard, rather trimmed beard. He and a mustache. His hair is still mostly black, but he has a few gray streaks. Always is dressed nicely. Has lovely green eyes.
Oh, quite. Well, if you don't mean my prying further, ma'am, do you know where we might find him? Because
I'm afraid I don't.
Oh, there's no place that he frequents quite often, a pub or tavern or such.
Not that I know of. He's currently seeing a young woman. And I believe they've gone off together somewhere.
Oh, yes, quite. Hmm. Oh, so you wouldn't know where we could find him,
I'm afraid not.
or any a phone number, or a means we could leave a message with him.
Afraid not.
Oh, that is a
Miss
shame.
Newell, do you watch his dog generally because he's going out of town, or is?
Well, whenever he needs me to watch his dog, yes. I take Shep out twice a day.
Hmm.
It's very neighborly of you. Is he going for a walk now? He sounds awfully agitated.
Well, that's probably because you knocked at the door.
Hmm.
No,
Certainly.
he had his walk about an hour ago.
Oh, yes.
The next one's not until 3:30 before
Oh,
tea.
quite. Just before tea. Walkies before tea, yes.
Well, Islebin, Miss Newell, when he's around and performing readings, does he use the cards or the palm or a crystal ball sort?
He has various ways of contacting the spirits beyond the worlds. Most notably, he does automatic writing, where the spirits contact him and he writes things. But I'm sure he knows all of the ways of fortune telling that there are.
Does he have open hours at a particular time when he is available?
I think it's probably best to make an appointment with him. I can give you his phone number.
Oh, that would be much appreciated.
Yes.
I don't have anything to write with.
Here you go, ma'am.
Here's his number, and she writes down his phone number. And
Thank you.
And yes, you will certainly he'll be able to see into your future and tell you what kind of fortunes you have in the future.
So he's been a good neighbor. He's not had rather unsavory crowd or any.
Oh no, he's a fairly quiet man,
that's good.
Very handsome man.
Well, he sounds like the gentleman I was informed on, and he sounds like someone we would be interested in most certainly.
Audrey and Munden, you can do psychology rolls on it. No,
I just have base, so no luck.
Okay. Well, I think though the one thing that's obvious is she seems
a little crushed out.
Yeah, a little crushed out.
Right.
She also seems to be pushing the whole fortune-telling thing like she's his salesman or something. Maybe she's trying to be helpful.
Well, ma'am, if you don't, in all confidence and such, as I said, we have heard about Mr. Elphinstone here, and if you could keep this on the the quiet. The Wentworth Club is rather interested in approaching him about potential membership. And we are the prestigious club for people dealing in the paranormal, and we have many people who deal in the same sort of stuff Mr. Elphinstone deals with, and he seems to us, from what we've garnered from reputation, to be a potential future member, and we would like to extend the hand of friendship and membership to him.
Well, I'm sure he would be very pleased with that.
Yes, quite.
Anything particular about your future that you're looking forward to that he's told you about?
Well, my future is a private matter, you know.
Certainly.
The things he tells you are not always things you want to share.
True.
I guess, yes, the deeper the insight, the more likely it would be something of a personal nature. Well, Islwyn, do you know if he's been gone for a day or two or longer? Does he often stay away for a week, or is it just a matter of a couple of days?
He actually left yesterday.
Just yesterday.
Quite.
All right.
If you don't mind, I don't wish to pry any further, ma'am, but you wouldn't happen to know the young lady's name that he is involved with?
Well, yes, I would. That's
oh, quite.
That's Myrtle Everett.
Myrtle Everett.
Yes,
Ah,
lovely young woman.
yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like it's quite a pairing up, as it were.
Oh well, I don't know that it's that. It would certainly be what is it called? A December, January,
Oh,
May,
yes.
May, December.
May,
Yeah.
December.
Yes. If you don't mind me saying, just in the off chance we might run into her before Mr. Elphinstone, what does she look like?
Well, she's a rather pretty young thing. She gives me a description. She gives you a description of her. Rather pretty 1920s-ish girl.
Just as a precaution, I'm going to look around and see if I see cats.
Yeah, you don't see any cats.
Okay. Didn't think so. Just checking.
Well, I do appreciate you taking your time to assist us
course.
there, ma'am. Very much so.
Well, now, if you'll forgive me, I have to go back to what I was doing.
No problem. But if you happen to meet Mr. Elphinstone anytime soon,
I'll tell him that there were
here's
people
my card,
looking
so
for
you
him.
can
From the
contact
Wentworth
me.
Club.
Yes,
Oh,
quite,
okay.
quite.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Good day, madam.
Good day. She goes.
And we go to report to the gentleman, or to summon Patrick to the car. So we've got a name for the girlfriend. We can look for one Myrtle Everett.
Okay.
Yeah, but Myrtle is supposed to be a neighbor.
You know,
Unless he's messing with both of them.
or a neighbor can mean she lives down the block.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a neighbor too.
I wouldn't think he'd be messing with both of them, or she wouldn't have such nice things to say about Myrtle.
To an idea roll.
Oh.
I don't know. I think he's messing with
All of you.
I made it. I made it.
Mine is rather
Just-
spectacular, 15.
Extreme.
Delgado didn't really know, so he might have gotten the facts wrong.
It's quite
True.
possible Delgado got the facts a little bit off.
Yeah. There was
But then again,
barely enough left of Delgado to spread on toast.
Yes, but then again, the neighbor here seemed rather connected with Mr. Delgado on a certain level. So
Mr. Elphinstone.
Mr. Elphinstone, yes, quite, Mr. Elphinstone. It's hard to keep the two of them just together or apart, one way or the other.
Well, we've got to assume that he's hiding out someplace until he gets what he wants.
Yeah, he's
You
not
don't-
going to be back here.
Yes.
You don't think he might have snuck into the museum as hiding out in this temple, do you? Is that something we can think of?
The temple would be the last part of what he needed to do, so I don't think so.
That is, if he's not making Britannia the basis of his temple.
He apparently does not need these artifacts because he spoke with Felix, and that's the last it was ever heard of him. He never got back in touch with one of us, so it's not like he's in a rush to get this item.
I think we came to the assumption that the artifacts were to keep people from getting him out of the coffin. I don't think he needs the artifacts. They were there to stop people from getting to the coffin. And he needs 1,000 people too.
Well, let's be honest. The only way he's going to get 1,000 people is the garden party.
Right. Well, let's
We're
try and
assuming
find
that
Myrtle.
1,000 people at one go. I mean, maybe it's just he's got to hit 1,000 people total, but I'm assuming that he has to get them in one go.
I just thought he needed to collect 1,000 souls.
If he has to collect 1,000 souls, then technically he could hit church after church until he gets 1,000. That's why I was thinking he needs them all at one go.
Well, let's try and find this Myrtle.
Yes, I mean, we have one more name. We should see what we can do with it. We can try a telephone box and see if she is, in fact, local to this area.
Okay. Make it happen.
All right, so you get the phone book. There are a fairly decent handful of Everetts.
And none of them are obviously Emma or
Right.
Myrtle. Are any of them in the immediate vicinity of this area?
Do a luck roll.
That's good, 21.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say there's at least one that's, maybe a few blocks over.
Well, let's knock on the door and see if we can, I mean, if they're shacking up.
Okay. So you drive to whatever address that happens to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you go up to the front door and you knock, and turns out it's somebody else. They don't know a Myrtle.
Oh, well. So in the car, disappointed with that news, the one question that bothers me is how many rungs there are between Delgado and the king. If this entity wants to keep climbing the social ladder, Miss Newell suggested that Elphinstone was getting to be well known by the upper crust. So is there a possibility that he's leapfrogging closer to the crown between now and the day after next? But that doesn't
Closer
tell
to
us
the
how to find
museum.
him. Well, closer to the, I mean, he wants to be able to interact with the king at the garden party. So if he can get from Elphinstone into an earl or a duke, then perhaps...
Okay. Do we have a consensus on how the transfer happens? I mean, is it just a touch? Is there a ceremony involved? Something he's got to recite? Or is it he just reaches out, touches it, makes it happen?
Well, I would think after what we saw with Delgado, it's now a touch, because so many of the people there were affected by the entity.
But it doesn't mean he jumped bodies. He could have just taken their soul or whatever he was doing.
True.
I don't think was he ever in Delgado officially?
Yes, Delgado said so.
But why would he jump? If he was in Delgado, why would he jump to Delgado's guards? Or did he go through the guards to Delgado?
Maybe that's how he's building up 1,000 souls.
Yes, to enter the vessel, as it were, to gather the soul.
Right.
And in that case, all he needs to do is go to the garden party and pick up all the souls he needs. Maybe going to the king is not necessarily the idea. It's to get the souls, and then he could go back to the museum and do the ritual there.
I mean, that's true. I mean, let's just be realistic here. If you're trying to improve your station, if you will, that king, yeah, that's a pretty nice little target, but he's a god. I mean, he's going to go from being a god to being a king. I would think that that's not necessarily the priority. Maybe he's looking at the garden party to get the 1,000 souls.
You're on mute, David.
It's not as though he can't. If he just needed to see 1,000 people or be in the presence of 1,000 people, he could go to Piccadilly Circus and suck up the souls from 1,000. But the prophecy says, "Ever shall he seek a greater host until he ascends to his throne." So I wonder whether it's as a short as stepping stone as Delgado to Elphinstone to King, or whether he's hanging out, making a visit to the House of Lords or some such, where he can be sure to get at the peerage.
That would be more believable, I would say.
And then after he ascends his throne, having again, leapfrog to ever greater hosts, that's when he requires the 1,000.
We're not entirely sure of the plan on how he's intending on doing this. There's several different ways he can make this happen. I mean, we could.
So he feasts upon the 1,000 souls in preparation for his great ascension, and at the temple shall they gather for his ascension ritual, stand and watch and tremble.
I say,
which is when everything is doomed.
I say we need to write a letter or make a phone call and tell the guard that we suspect he's an anarchist and is going after the king, so that way at least they will keep the king insulated from him.
Yeah, let's, you can compose a suitable letter at the club, yes?
Yeah.
I see no reason to loiter around these quarters. We don't know where to find this Everett woman, but presume that they're together based on what Delgado said.
Would it be maybe if he's a palm reader and a psychic, he works right from his house, no storefront, correct?
Right.
I wonder if a theater or something where someplace where he could set up bait. I don't know why, I just pictured a theater. I don't know, I'm just reaching. Sorry.
Well, we got to do something.
Where was Delgado taken to? Maybe we could.
Still where he is, I think.
Maybe we should revisit Delgado and try and dig a little deeper.
I don't know. His mind is pretty bent.
Pretty sure by now the authorities have picked him up, and he's probably halfway to Bedlam right now.
Well, let's just take a shot at it. What else do we have to do? Write a letter and then wait for 2 days till the king gets killed. Let's at least try.
What about this? Let's forget what we think we know about the artifacts. Why don't we take and pick up the Horn of Alu and show it to Delgado?
All right, but before we do that, let's just... Delgado went through the process of being transformed. He talked about how he'll be remembered in the God's mind forever, but we didn't ask him how it happened. That should be still fresh in his mind. That's something we overlooked.
It would be good to know what sort of ritual, if any, is involved. so that we might try to interrupt it.
And we can ask him about the horn too, but I think it should stay where it is unless we absolutely need it. But I am going to go out on a limb and say any of those artifacts are pretty much useless at this point. I think they're warding a whip to keep people like us or the archaeologists from actually ever entering the tomb. I could be wrong, but that's my guess on that.
Patrick, do an idea roll.
37 out of 90.
All right. Wow, that's really good. What do you know about the Horn of Alu? How it works so far?
I don't think we know anything about how it works.
Well, Fuller would know the most out of anybody.
Well, I mean,
yeah, I got you. The people who were in the vicinity had horrible nightmares.
right.
You couldn't sleep. I don't think anybody tried to blow it yet, did they?
No.
It's not really that kind of a horn, but
Oh, that's right.
you and the person that it attacked was Theodore
Rayburn Price.
who happened to be the closest person to it when it activated. And it was all of you in the house dreaming.
Correct.
That seemed to activate it. But the Horn of Alu had been setting in a tomb for however many thousand years. It might have grown weak, and it took proximity to people for it to activate. That's why Thompson Campbell was able to go in and rifle the tomb without being attacked by anything, because it needed to get charged up. It's only effective when it's charged, but if it's around people, then it's going to get charged up. Right now it's in the bank where there's nobody there at night.
So maybe we need to charge the horn up and bring it with us?
Well, the reason I said it was just how did Thompson Campbell get by all these defenses?
Oh, right.
Because
It
they hadn't
grew
been
with over
activated in
time.
1,000 years.
So if that's right, then my theory is correct. They were there just as wards against people from invading the tomb, but after the time they failed. Let's go try and grab Delgado and talk to him a little more. I think that's our only real lead at this point.
I do not object to your questioning Delgado. But leave me at the club. I don't want to look into his dead, vacant eyes anymore.
All right.
Rather unnerving.
All right. So who wants to go with Patrick and who wants to stay with Audrey?
I'll go with Patrick.
I'll stay with Audrey.
All right. So you drop them off at the club. You head back over to Delgado. And when you arrive at Delgado's, it's pretty much exactly as you left it. There are still two guards standing pretty much where they were when you left them, out in the garden. In fact, there's a pigeon sitting on one of them because he hasn't moved for a while.
Not a crow?
No. You make your way into the house, and you find the place where you left Delgado, and once again, he's still sort of standing there vacantly looking off. What would you like to do?
Aloysius.
He sort of slowly turns to look at you. And he says, my name is Aloysius Delgado.
I'm here to Have you tell me the glorious story of how the god moved in and out of you? I need the details. It must be amazing.
I want you to do a spot hidden roll.
Both of us?
50.
Well, Patrick is standing right there looking into his face.
54 out of 50. I'll spend 4 luck.
Okay. Now this happens as Delgado is talking, but you notice that. Hold on just 1 second. I need to see something. Okay. What you notice is there seems to be some odd sort of scarring around his left eyeball. Comes, partly down his face, partly up onto his eyebrow. It almost looks like little wormy marks, like tentacles. It doesn't look like he has tentacles. It looks like he has scars.
Like a burn from a...
Yeah, or something, but it's only around his left eyeball.
And he never had that before.
Correct. And you're Patrick Longdon, so you know a lot of the mythology. Sometimes Naboo is depicted with his left eyeball missing.
Oh.
Which is odd. Now he may have had that before when you were looking at him. You just didn't notice it. And he says, it's my transformation. What a glorious thing. We were having dinner, and Elphinstone was there. He said that he had something he wanted to show me. An artifact. It was a clay seal, and I told him that it looked very old. He said it was from the tomb of Naboo, my ancient reincarnation, and that by touching it, I would once again be connected to my ancient self. And so he handed it to me, and that's when we became one.
Now, did the tablet, the seal, crack or break in any way?
Oh no. In fact, that's the way Elphinstone drew Naboo out of me once again.
Was there any ethereal lights and spectacular magic, or just...
There's no way to describe how it felt. I was looking into the face of God.
Any cracks of thunder, sounds, smells?
Nothing like that.
Just kind of bloop, bloop, one back and forth, or
just as if someone was taking up residence in my head.
And did he jump into you and jump out right away, or did Naboo live inside you for an extended period?
No. From then it was as if I was in a back room and Naboo was in control. He didn't understand our world. It had been so many thousands of years, and so Elphinstone and we went out. He showed me things. Naboo things. We went to a church, and Naboo drained some of the congregation, their souls. It was delicious.
Do Do you know if he needs to have 1,000 souls? Is that
I
what he's
told
doing?
you, the feast of 1,000 souls
Correct.
comes before his ascension.
But he needs to get 1,000 at once or one at a time till he collects 1,000.
It's part of a ritual. He, of course, can only consume them one at a time. 1,000 souls might take a while, but he needs to consume them all at the one after another, all at once. Yes.
Aloysius, my good man,
Oh,
you
who are
once
you?
you once spoke to a colleague of ours about obtaining the horn of Valu. Are you still interested in the horn?
I'm not particularly interested in anything.
What about the Eye of Lamatsu?
I already have what I've wanted. I wanted immortality. I've got it. No, I'm quite satisfied.
Are you hungry or thirsty or tired?
Nothing like that. No. He does look rather thin, by the way. Like he hasn't eaten in a while.
Right. Okay. And he's still standing pretty much in the same spot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course, his clothes are all rumpled and his hair is a mess. And he doesn't seem to
Let's see if
care.
there's like a glass of water around, a pitcher of water. See if he'll actually drink.
There's no pitcher of water.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to ask him while we're here.
In the interim between asking your last question and this one, there's a bit of a pause, and you can almost see that during the pause he has phased out again. It's like he's not even aware that you're there at the moment. You're sure that if you speak again, it'll once again be a bit of a surprise that you're even there.
Right. Well, Fuller, I think we got a few answers here. Anything else you could think of?
Well, I will explain it to you when we're outside.
All right, but there's nothing. My point was anything you directly want to ask or look for. Okay.
No.
So I'll just quietly walk away from him.
All right. He has no reaction.
We got out on the porch, and it's like, I am halfway decided to go into one of the bedrooms and start a fire. Now, this will burn the house down, and they will either run or they won't run. If they don't run and they burn with the house, then Naboo will not be able to jump back into them.
He wouldn't jump back into him anyway. He's already taken their soul. They're garbage to him now. They're actually his excrement, I believe. If you burn the house down and we need to question him again, at least we know where he is. Let's hold off on the fire, and we can always circle back tomorrow and burn the place down. He'll be standing here. But just in case we need to ask him something else, let's just leave him stand there.
Okay.
And I'm going to actually, when we leave, I want to close the gates too. Not lock them, just don't leave everything wide open. Have people come investigate.
All right. So that's exactly what you do. And then what do? Head back over to the club?
Yeah, head back to the club and reiterate the information to the rest of the group.
All right. So you're all back at the club.
And I tell them what we learned.
Sure.
So Mr. Delgado didn't divulge any further details on what Mr. Elphinstone's plan might be.
Shit.
But he did. We now know that to make the transference, he has to have the tablet. So,
But he has the tablet.
yes, but to take over the king,
Oh, right.
he would have to have the king
touch
take the tablet.
And I think they have to be done one at a time, unless multiple hands can be on it. But can Naboo inhabit multiple people at once? I'm gonna say no, at least until he gets more powerful. So that could hold him back a bit.
And I don't. Perhaps my impression is mistaken. I think that when they were at the church, he stole the souls from people without entering them. He stayed in Delgado.
Oh, yeah.
Delgado was a sort of passenger while he gobbled up the souls in the church one at a time. So it's not as though he had to go and press the seal to each of the congregants.
No. I am willing to bet that there is a difference between taking someone's soul and transferring his consciousness into another person.
Yes, that's my
I
impression.
think you're correct about that. Which doesn't bode well for the Garden Party and the fact that they could just go and steal souls and they won't be finding out about anyone who's in a daze till...
There is one advantage. There is one advantage of this. Let's assume that he is going to take the souls at this garden party and then try to get to the king. When people start freaking out, it won't be too hard to pull guns at that point in time and chase down Elphinstone, because they're going to be busy protecting the king.
Why would they be freaking out? These people would be stumbling around as if they were drunk. How many people do you figure will be drunk?
Wait. Remember the church. Remember the church. It was violent. They didn't just lay there. It was violence.
Perhaps.
Yes, but again, there's a sequence in the prophecy. Ever shall he seek a greater host until he has risen to his throne, then shall he feast upon 1,000 souls in preparation for his great ascension. So he would presumably want to have gotten to the king, if that's his intent. I think is a reasonable presumption.
Delgado just said to you also that it's part of the ceremony.
Mm-hmm. So it's, we must assume that he's going to increase the greatness of his host and then go about the process of soul gobbling, however that works. There isn't a club cat, is there?
Chat Noir. Chat Noir.
No, a resident cat at the Wentworth. A cellar mouser.
Let's do a luck roll on that one, because I don't know any reason why not there would be.
Well, they probably were following Audrey around.
If there is a club cat, I'll have got to know it.
Okay.
It was spectacular.
Boodles the cat. It's a big white Persian.
Fuller, I think you should begin drafting your letter to the authorities. We should give some thought to who to send it. I'm going to see if I can find Boodles. He's usually around the cellar. Is there a cellar? There's got to be a cellar.
Sure.
It'd be at least a pantry. They serve food, so.
All right.
There is a wine cellar for sure, and part of it,
Oh yeah, it's true.
the lower levels.
So I'm going to leave the lads and go around the cellar.
All right. And what are the rest of you doing?
Writing a letter.
Okay. It's getting towards evening at this point. All right, Audrey. It doesn't take you long before Boodles the cat sees you and comes over and sort of sits there just staring up at you.
Is there, Boodles, is there talk among your people about the danger that we're all in?
Boodles sort of looks around really quickly, and it's like, is it safe for us to talk here?
I think, if you'd like some scritches, we can speak quietly, and anyone will just think I'm a cat lady.
Do you have any milk?
I can certainly get you some cream.
All right. So
But there won't be any cream on Earth once Naboo takes over.
We'll just say that it's you find a quiet place. You get a saucer of cream, and with that, Boodles is like, the cats aren't really interested in what's going on with humans. We basically use you to feed us and take care of us and stroke us when we feel like it and keep us warm. And we all have other places that we can go. The dreamlands, the moon. Which may be the first time you find out that cats can jump to the moon.
Indeed. We really appreciate you most for your ability to pick off rodents. It seems as though...
Oh, they're delicious. She says, I don't think that our deity would allow another deity to take over the earth, though. Because humans have in the past worshipped her, though they don't much anymore.
Some of us are learning to, certainly.
Well, you could certainly learn more.
I think I'll is there a source that you recommend? Something simple enough for us humans?
But you have the eye.
I have the eye. Do you know the cat-sized cats, if you will? Do you know about the lion-headed guardians?
You're talking about what do they call them?
Ugalos?
The Ugalos. If you go down that path, yes, you can summon the Ugalos. They will protect you. But they demand blood. They are hunters.
Yes, I've seen them killed, and it was terrifying. But perhaps with their help, we can retain this realm for Bubastis. Is there a great danger to me if I try to summon them?
None whatsoever. You have you have the eye.
Is it possible to see things through the eye that I otherwise wouldn't be able to see?
It's possible to converse with Bastet.
How does the goddess prefer to be propitiated? if I should be so daring as to try to speak to her.
I can't say that.
Right, you don't have to propitiate after all.
I don't know what her attitude is towards you at the moment. You have to speak with your heart.
Mm.
Well, my heart's go ahead.
My heart's genuinely terrified, so that might move her.
You need to find a quiet place, and you need to show her that you are willing to be her servant and to follow her, and she will teach you what you need to know.
And you are going to get some fresh sardines after you're done with your cream.
Yes.
Because you're a sweet little cat.
I hope that you don't all die.
Thank you. I do too. And with that, I guess I will fetch a tin of sardines and make my way back upstairs.
All right.
After.
All right. So Fuller, you were writing a letter. Oh, you're muted. What's your letter?
Yes.
What letter are you writing?
I am writing a letter that says, it has come to our attention that a man named Elphinstone who is an anarchist and is out to do the king harm. We believe that he will attack during the garden party. Give his address to his home. And we believe that he was a part of those despicable terrorists that tried to break into the museum. And that's it.
And you're sending it to?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it to the Buckingham Palace and walk up to a guard and say, this man over here paid me to give you this letter.
I'm not sure that it would be that easy, but okay. Let's say, okay, when are you going to do this? Tomorrow?
Yeah.
All right. We'll play it through. All right.
If Fuller relates the idea to me, I said, why don't you pay a kid to bring it over to them? That way you're not.
Well, you know, I thought about that, to actually do that, but one, I don't think that the guards would pay much attention to a kid. Number two, if I go up and I say, some guy paid me, $5 to hand you this letter, I mean, I'm not doing anything violent.
Right, but they're not going to do anything violent while they question you for 2 days until after the garden party.
Yeah, but I don't have an invitation to the garden party anyway.
Right. I'm just saying that any good guard was... well, hold on 1 second, sir.
Well, like I said, I'm standing there. I've made it clear that some man paid me. I'll give a description, I mean, if you did that to the president, yeah, they would check you out, make sure that you're not a terrorist or something. But after that, what would they really have to hold you for? You're just handing them a letter, nothing more.
But we might need you on the outside while 2 people are on the inside. That's all I'm saying.
Send a copy to the Scotland Yard.
Send multiple copies.
Yes, quite.
Well,
the more
we can do
copies
that.
out there, the more they take interest in it.
I'd send one to every precinct, to the yard, to the palace, to the parliament, to the,
I'm assuming that if we sent a letter to Scotland Yard, I would assume that Buckingham Palace would be made aware of said letter. I can't see the police holding it and going, well, we're going to investigate this.
No,
I think that they would tell the guards.
True, but multiple letters would reinforce what they've got.
and send it to every newspaper in London.
Quite.
Every newspaper.
Quite.
Okay.
I mean, one letter to the yard might get overlooked. One letter to a precinct might get overlooked. But if everybody is buzzing about Elfstone trying to kill the king, every place in London, they're going to tell their wife at dinner, their kids, their cousin, they're at the bar, they're going to talk about it. They're going to, you know what I mean? You're going to spread the word like wildfire.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Oops. So that's what your intention is?
Yeah, we'll mail it off to all these people.
Okay. How many letters?
Oh, let's see. One to all the major papers, one to Buckingham Palace, one to Scotland Yard. That's all I can think of.
So who's going to write all these letters?
Oh, you could all just grab 10 sheets of paper and copy the letter. Each of us make 10 copies.
Yeah.
I'll assist.
Okay, then that's what you're going to spend your evening doing?
I mean, it can't take more than an hour with all four of us working.
Okay, I'll give you that. Are you going to type it or are you going to write it, handwrite it?
I mean, if we have typewriters.
Well, they do exist.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any at the Wentworth Club. I don't know why there would be.
Maybe
I don't
one
think there'd be
for-
4.
No, there might be one at the front desk or in an accounting office.
Could we postpone this for a couple of centuries until they invent Xerox?
Yeah.
I'll handwrite if necessary, but if I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
get a hold of a
I
typewriter.
don't have a problem handwriting.
Meanwhile, I'm tearing into an entire turkey. I'm a big guy, you know.
It's just
Your
your turkey, sir.
Thank you.
Your American Thanksgiving dinner, sir.
I am
Two
very
roast carrots
rotund.
and 4 small potatoes.
Exactly.
All right.
Gentlemen, if you'll excuse me, I have cats to attend to at home.
Quite.
I'll meet you back here in the morning. We'll breakfast and see if anything's come clear.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right. So while the three of you are handwriting letters, Audrey's going to head home. Audrey, you arrive back at your home. You go inside. I forget if you have cats too. Do you have one?
2.
Cat? You have 2 cats. All right. Well, they greet you. And they're affectionate and everything. And what would you like to do?
I'm going to. They can certainly smell Boodles on me, so I'm going to send Boodles regards. And I'm going to have a bracing cup of tea, and give them a treat, and then I'm going to go to my bedroom, turn the probably gas light low, and sit quietly with the Eye of Lamatsu in my hands.
Okay.
Wait for something to happen.
Are the cats there with you?
You know, I imagine it's a smallish flat, so yeah, they probably can't be far.
Okay. So describe you exactly. You're sitting in a chair.
I pictured myself cross-legged on the bed for whatever reason.
Sitting on the bed cross-legged.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And the eye has been under my pillow, I believe,
right.
for the last few days.
As you're sitting there,
I stole it.
you sit there for a few minutes. You try to concentrate. Nothing seems to be happening. And one of the cats says, well, the problem is you've got to get up higher.
Oh, it is good to have a vantage, isn't it? Do you think, Sherry, that the top of the wardrobe is high enough? Or shall I be on the roof of the building?
I like the top of the wardrobe.
All right, so I'm going to push a chair over and clamber up there kind of carefully with an ancient artifact.
Okay. So you manage, it's a big wardrobe, big heavy wardrobe. So you manage, it's tight. You're kind of squeezed in there.
All right.
And one of the cats says, that's good. But you're kind of laying on your side, and you're kind of hugging the stone. And you close your eyes. Now, at first, nothing happens, but for some reason, it feels better up here. Like you say, you've got a vantage point. You kind of find that when you open your eyes and you look around, you can see everything in your room from up here. It's a good spot. Do a power roll.
18 is just shy of a hard success.
Okay. You don't think at first that you're going to be able to get comfortable, but ultimately you are able to get comfortable, and you find that you're drowsy. You're becoming drowsy, and suddenly you find yourself standing in a golden place. You think that there's a desert around you on either side, and ahead of you is what looks like a golden pyramid. There is a dais in front of the pyramid, and as you approach, and there are gigantic sphinxes on either side of you as you're approaching. And there is a kind of a light coming from the top of the dais as you approach. And as it comes into view, you can see that there is a woman who is lounging rather centrally on what would seem to be a silk bed. She's laying on her side, and her dress is modestly covering her, but it's also very scant. There's very little there. And you can see that her skin is very dark. It's almost a charcoal black. And you begin to realize that her facial features are more feline than anything else. And her eyes are wide open, and they're yellow, and they're staring at you as you are coming closer. What do you do?
Is the dais on stone, on earth, on a carpet?
Everything seems to be like gold bricks.
If there's any kind of boundary, that's where I would stop and kneel.
Well, there's a few steps going up,
Okay.
and then it looks like there's a place there that would be like where you would show obeisance or whatever.
Yeah, that's the first thing. Wordless obeisance. And I'm thinking, full on mid 20th century movie, like onto knees and then head down and arms out kind of extravagance. Because,
you hear a light sort of laughter come from her, and she says, Audrey Leicester, I've been waiting for you.
How shall I address you, goddess?
You may call me Bastet. And she begins to move upward from the bed, more into a standing position in front of it. She says, everything tells me that you are a friend to the feline race.
I have always loved cats, your people.
There was a time when your kind worshipped my kind, but that time is long since past. Still, the worship could be revived.
It is certainly the first, this past year has led me to be a great deal more, what's the word? Faithful in general. And the danger that my planet is in has made me bold enough to come and seek your wisdom.
I can certainly offer you refuge here in the Dreamlands, but I can't save your whole world.
I'm grateful for that offer of safety. Do you know of a way that our salvation might be achieved?
The affairs of humans are not mine to meddle in. Besides, I'm not really that pleased in humans recently. I have been sorely abused by some of those people, some of them around you. And so I'm not so sure that you would be a worthy person to be a priestess of Bastet. Would you?
Bastet, I can say that I would be a faithful follower and representative of you and your people. And although the Dreamlands and the Moon seem like magnificent realms, we do provide my people, a lot of care and attention to yours.
Some of you do.
Some of us do. There are also dog people, but don't get me started about them.
Don't mention the D word again. She says, well, perhaps. I should say, perhaps. She says, she suddenly looks at you and her facial expression changes. In fact, as you're looking at her, her whole aspect sort of changes. It almost becomes more tiger-like. And you can see on her hands, she has considerable claws, and they're hooked claws, not like fingernails. And she suddenly rushes forward towards you, and you know instinctively that that one of two things could happen. That hand coming forward could either caress you or it could rip you to shreds. And if you show a lack of trust, that might be really bad. So it's up to you whether you flinch or you don't flinch.
You know, I'm gonna try to stand my ground. They're playful creatures, after all.
So in fact, that's exactly what happens. She lunges forward, her claws coming towards your face, but what you get is a gentle paw on the face. And in that moment, the aspect is back to Bastet. And she says, yes, I will teach you to be my new high priestess.
I am honored, Bastet.
But you must first do something for me.
How may I serve you?
And she smiles and she leans forward, and with a very quiet and soft and sensual voice, she says, Philip Church and Mrs. Lewis, bring me their hearts. And you suddenly wake up on top of the wardrobe.
Well, that's a challenge. It's has any time passed, or is it 6:15 when I fell asleep at 6:14?
No, it's we'll say a few hours have passed. The cats are sound asleep on your bed.
And none of the fellows know that I stole the eye from the museum.
No, they don't.
Is Philip Church still in custody?
Yes.
That makes it a challenge, doesn't it? I've never killed a man.
And I forgot Mrs. Lewis's first name, but Mrs. Lewis. Edith Lewis.
Edith Lewis.
She may still be in the hospital. She probably is.
Well, I can't probably do anything about it tonight. I'm not going to be able to get into the prison or the hospital at this hour. It's time for a tall cognac and curling up with the cats.
And you find yourself getting yourself a saucer of cream instead of cognac. It seems more appealing. All right. I'll tell you what. It's cutting a little short, but I think that might be a good spot to cut it. Because then you'll have one day left before the garden party, one full day, and then the garden party happens. So, and actually, the garden party happens in the afternoon too. It's 3 to 6 in the afternoon. So you still have a little time to make some plans. Our players included David Gassaway, Ford Fitch, Jason Melnichuk, and Jerry Bryant, with myself as the keeper of the secrets. We're currently producing up to 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. The costs involved with the show are provided almost entirely by our patrons. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. If you'd like to support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch that bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.